Have you ever thought about owning a hotel? Are you concerned about what's the true benefits of owning a hotel? Well, look, we're going to talk about enjoying the cash flow, the tax benefits, and how to get started owning your first hotel. Hey, I'm Mike Ely. I flew on down here to hang out in Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, the Dirty Bird, right? We're out here hanging. I got my girl Davon. I got partners with me, actually. All right, we got our partners here.
Myron Golden here. I am so looking forward to seeing you at the Big Deal Summit right here in Tampa, Florida, June 19th through the 21st. None other than Mike Ely himself, the king of investing in apartment buildings and hotels, myself, and Robert G. Allen, Mr. Nothing Down himself. Come to the Big Deal Summit where you can learn how to turn your cash into cash flow and your cash flow into cash and have tax-free cash flow at the Big Deal Summit with me, Mike Ely, and Robert G. Allen. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Big Deal Summit. Let's go.
We got Davon. And here we go. Tell them who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Sai Song. I'm a hotel broker with KW Commercial.
Yeah, Nick Sai actually put me and Davon together, and we did our first hotel together. So we got some friends here together that are looking to get into business. Some are in the business a little bit. And it's just, we're going to sit and answer questions. You know, we're going to debunk the why people can't do hotels. What are some of the big mistakes? And we're going to share with you how you can own your first hotel. So who's ready to kick it off here? Kimberly, you ready to go? You got your first question? Go ahead. What's your first question?
Okay, so what is the top, when you're looking for a hotel, what's the top 3 things to look for when you're buying a hotel?
You want to go?
Okay, so the top 3 things that you should look for is location, brand, and the operator. So those are the 3 things that makes a hotel successful. We are here at the beautiful Shane Kempton Hotel in Midtown Atlanta. So location, right? We're in the heart of Midtown Atlanta. So we have all these businesses here. You see the the Woodruff Arts Museum. You got the SCAD, all of these different businesses, and all of these are demand generators. When people come to Atlanta, they're not coming to stay to the Shane Hotel in Kempton. They're not really coming to stay at a hotel. They're coming for a reason, right. And then they're looking for a hotel that they like when they come to a particular area. Then the brand, right? So this is a part of IHG, right? So IHG have rewards programs, Hilton have rewards program, Marriott's have rewards programs. If I ask y'all right now, what's your favorite hotel? I already know the top 2. So I'm gonna ask y'all right now, which one y'all favorite hotel? Hilton or Marriott? I already knew it. And that's usually what it is. And there's a lot of it because of that brand loyalty. So that's why the brand is important. And then the operator. Right, the operator can literally make a break.
You over 4 or 5.
No, that's 3. I'm still at 3.
I don't know, man.
I'm still at 3. You just don't like that operator word.
What did she say? Location,
brand, and now I'm at the operator. You just don't like.
Look for a hotel. Yeah, I don't like that.
See, he don't like that. But the operator will make or break your hotel.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
It will make or break your hotel.
Absolutely.
And then you have to think about, do you want to operate the hotel? Right? Because if you don't want to operate the hotel, then that'll determine the type of hotel you want to look for, right? Your budget. Now that's the 4th thing, so that's a bonus.
You got a different 3.
Okay, now I'm gonna rock my top 3. Location, number 1. I don't know if I would say brand. I mean, brand is a very important thing about it, but I'm gonna go with occupancy, ADR, like economic drivers, which falls into location, right? Yeah. But I want to know what the rest of the market's doing. So I'm looking at occupancy in the index and the ADR, and
average day stands for average daily rate.
Average daily rate. So in apartments, people are like, well, what's this monthly rent? But in hotel, it's ADR, average daily rate. And I'm looking to find out what the rest of the market's doing, and then from there I can determine what brand I can increase with value, right? Because there's the thing in the index that states, what market share they have, right? Are they getting their fair share? That's basically what the index says. Are they getting a fair share? And so if I see a lower index in occupancy and ADR, then that means, depending on the brand, I can push that up. And then I say, okay, now what team, what operator I'm going to go put in that place? Without a doubt, an operator will make it break it. Ask me how I know. Ask me.
Don't get him started. That's a whole nother.
Ask me how I know.
Woo, and we'll need some drink. He gonna have to refill his drink and talk about that.
Look, the index. So there's the RevPAR index. There's the occupancy index, and so to get deeper into that, it's basically like 100%. Okay, so anything below 100% means they're not getting their fair share. If you're 100% of occupancy or ADR or RevPAR, that means your business is getting its fair share. If you're over that, like our Home 2 Suites in El Reno, Oklahoma, we're dominating. We got like 130% of the index.
We also had the best property in the market.
Yeah, we got the best property in the market. So that number lines up with what we're talking about, right? Go ahead.
So I'll go back to that first. What's your first three things that you look for when you're buying a hotel? You know, one of yours, economic driver. I know a lot of people who get into it for resale value. So what does that play when brands come into it?
Absolutely. Now, see, and it's a little different than hotels. And nobody's going to tell you this until you buy it, and you'll be like, what the flock just happened? So I do look for creating value, right? So I was getting to that, but understand when you do the value of a hotel, when a new owner comes in, you sell the transition, there's a new PIP. So it's not that the value drops. Yeah, when a PIP is nothing but a renovation. All right. So when you do a new renovation, they actually discount that from the value. So many people go in like, oh, I bought this hotel for $8 million. I ain't got to do no renovations. It's worth $12 million. I'm a net $4 million. Then they come in, it's a change of owner PIP, a renovation. They're like, well, you got to do a $2.5–3 million renovation. And so regardless if you do the renovation or not, they're going to deduct that from the sales price. So if you thought it was worth 12, you minus 3, now it's only worth 9, and you paid 8, you only made $1 million. You'd be like, what the heezy just happened? Where's my money? So those are some of the things that you got to work for. I probably didn't really name the 3, but
you lost me a little bit. So the brand will make you have a new PIP.
So tomorrow, because we're touring a design center tomorrow. So tomorrow it'll make more sense. So typically, every 5 to 7 years, a brand will come up with a new prototype, right? So for Holiday Inn Express, Kempton, really Staybridge. Every 5 to 7 years they'll come in and they'll basically be like to change them, so that they want wherever you go to throughout the country and the world, it'll look similar. So they don't want you walking into a Holiday Inn Express that looked like it was from 20 years ago. So they want it to look like a little more modern. So it's called a PIP, or property improvement plan, and it's basically based off of brand standards. So it could be from the furniture, it can be from complete renovation where you have to change like the bathrooms, which is extremely expensive, because they want the hotel to look, to look fresh. And so what Mike was talking about, sometimes folks, they don't count that into their valuation. They don't count that into their valuation because they don't understand it, right? So then they don't have that education. So they may come in and buy a hotel that's like, $1 million, and they thinking with the value, they can just like spruce it up a little bit. They may bring in a contractor that do houses and don't really know hotels, and they don't do the PIP. And then by the time they get all the numbers in from the brand, because the brand is going to tell you, like, you'll be penalized. Like, they're going to tell you, because they want you to, you're paying into you're a part of a brand. They have to protect their brand. Because when you walk into a hotel, now you're going to be thinking about who the owners. But the average person, they're not going to be thinking about who's the owner. They're not going to think about the operator. They're just going to know that it's Marriott. That's all they're going to know. This is Hilton. This is IHG. This is Winter. That's all they're going to know. So the brands have to keep a certain standards. And so as an owner or a franchisee, you have to keep it up to their par on what they say.
Yeah, You want to say
I
something?
have my last question for
Yeah.
you. I know you spoke on, how people look at multifamily unit and they think about that and then how that differentiates from somebody who's rentals and then ADR. What's the biggest mistake you see people coming from multifamily unit trying to make
That's a
when they
good
make
question
a
for
hotel?
you.
The biggest difference between the mistakes that people make between multifamily and hotel.
Same thing, like you said.
Well, one, because I just actually went through this. The PIP, the renovation process. When you got a property, and let's just say a lower income Section 8, man, you can go in, do some basic renovations, and as long as it meets the Section 8 standards, you pass, right? The windows got to open, you put your outlet in, the plug, it's on, right? Yeah, no. Look, that stuff has to be perfect. A lot of times people think that they can go in or not do all the things that are required and get away from it. The brand's not going for that. They have standards that they want, and they want it done. They want the wallpaper going in. If it has blemishes, they're going to say something. Now, you may be able to get away with some variances, but they want things done, even things that don't even you feel necessary. Like we got something in Scottsburg where they wanted to smooth out the pool. And I was like, dude, that's $20,000. Like, the pool is fine. Nobody's falling. It's not shipping.
But it's a brand.
It's a brand set. When you got what is the pepper ceilings, the ceilings with the little popcorn ceilings. I know that's dated, but the ceiling could be fine. Nothing. They want them knocked down. Another expense. So, I mean, the way to get around that,
locks.
and the key locks,
You
right?
gotta upgrade it to electronic key lock.
And now they want to be able to, so people can log in
On their
digitally,
phone. Yeah, they do
all
that.
from their phone.
That's expensive.
That's like $600. I paid $65,000 for some locks for 86 keys.
So
Right.
imagine the larger hotels, and that how y'all go in the larger hotels, and you're like, ooh, it's dated, yeah, because it's expensive. So they gonna go as long as they possibly can, because it is expensive. So like the 100, 200, 1,000, like the Marriott Marquis, I think their renovation was like
Oh, the 1,100. That's 1,100. So the Marriott Key
it's 1,663 rooms.
Oh yeah, the Marriott Key is about 1,100 to 1,600 rooms.
No, yeah, 1,663 rooms.
And the average renovation is $25,000 to $30,000 a door.
So you looking at the owners. No. The owners.
Who's funding that?
The owners, they eat that. So typically you have to put 4 to 5% in a reserve, right? So it's like every month from your revenues, you're supposed to put 4 to 5%. Some people do 6, 7. Some people
That's a $33 million renovation for a hotel you already own. Like, you gotta realize, you talking about multifamily. When you do your renovation on multifamily, you're like, I'm done. Like, that's it. Next time there's a renovation, I'm selling.
And then the last one, it was $67 million for the Marriott.
Yeah.
So is the buyer not asking for what standard? from
They'll
the
ask.
brand
They'll
when they're
ask the
buying?
brand. They'll ask the brand for a PIP list.
Okay.
And so sometimes your broker, they may give you like an estimate of the PIP. So that's one of the questions that you want to ask. When is the next PIP? A lot of times what people do, they'll ask the seller, how long. What? Okay. Okay, come down. How long is left basically on the franchisee, on the franchise agreement, on the license. So let's say you buy I'm gonna keep using IHG because we have IHG. You buy a Holiday Inn Express or something like that, and there's a year left, but now you want to convert it to a Hilton. So that's a year's worth of liquidated damages as opposed to you buying something from an owner that just renewed the license for 20 years. So the license is about 20 years.
So why do I want to do this again?
Why do you want to do what?
Why do I from residential and multi want to invest in a hotel, given all those?
Well, I have my thoughts, but you actually done it because you went for multifamily.
Yeah, no. Huh? I'll repeat the question. The question is, I hear all these things. Why would I want to move from residential to hotels? Well, yes, you got to put your big boy pants on. All right, your big girl pants on, right? But there's different levels. One of the big things about doing a hotel is much more cash flow. Number one, the tax benefits, all right? And then I get free drinks whenever I go to my hotel.
And in Jameer words, in my 5-year-old son's, he gets the free, the free gift shop. He just goes into the owner's benefits. The owner rates, you get benefits, you get discounted rates. So that's another thing. Some hotels, okay, whatever I'm doing.
Right here. You gotta stay right here.
Do this.
All right, but I'm.
Oh, because I can't see you do that.
Yeah. So now, but to dig into the benefits, one of the big things are tax benefits. Yeah. So there's different levels of wealth, right? And so some started off in hotels, so that's a different game. Right. Other people come in for different reasons. Like some don't even worry about the cash flow. You got to realize some people are making $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, $1 million a month. Net. And so they're looking for tax write-offs. Yeah. This is one of the greatest ways to depreciate an asset. Accelerated depreciation. And when they depreciate this asset, if they put $100,000 in, $500,000 in, they're not worried about that cash flow. They just received almost a 30-40% tax write-off in their first year. That offset all the gains that they had. That took away 2 months or 3 months worth of taxes that they would have had to deal with. So these are some of the great benefits of why they want. And then, it is sexy. I ain't gonna lie, owning a hotel is sexy, right? Now, I will say, I made more money. I made a lot of money with ugly stuff, right? Some ugly deals have been my best deals. But once you get the right property, the right team, you're hands off. You got third-party management. This is something that is Class A and an asset manager. You have people in place. Then you got brand standards. These have brand loyalty, right? So just how we talked about Marriott and Hyatt and ISGs, a lot of these people want to be loyal to those brands, right? Some of you don't even look at another hotel, right? Like when I'm out, I check out all hotels because I got a few of them, right?
So we got the discounts.
Yeah, I got discounts. But somebody you're a Marriott Rewards member, you're going there. You're not looking at anything. And 50% of the reservations for that hotel typically comes from the brand. Oh, next question here.
What role do asset managers?
2 minutes? 20 minutes? Okay, go ahead.
Oh.
What role do asset managers play for hotels?
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
So an asset manager. Oh, repeat the question. So the question was, what role does an asset manager play in a hotel? And so an asset manager basically acts as an owner's rep, right? So an owner's representative, okay? So with someone who works with the management company, if you have one, someone who works with the brand as well, and especially good for those who have multiple properties or those who are new in the business and they need someone to kind of help and basically be the the quarterback, the bulldog, really to protect you as an owner. Because when you work with management companies, they care about themselves. I'm just gonna be honest. Management companies, just like a property management company for a residential or multifamily, management companies, they really care about themselves. That's really an owner's representative or an asset manager. The owner's always in their best interest when they talk to the brands, because the brands just care about the brands, right? They care about the franchisee, but at the end of the day, it's a brand that they have to protect. So if you're new in the space, or if you have multiple hotels and you can't really dedicate as much time, then that's where an asset manager comes into play. Some people hire a third-party asset manager, like we have a third-party asset manager, or some companies are very large and they have an internal asset manager. And some companies are even larger They have an internal asset manager plus a third party asset manager, especially like REITs and really large portfolios. So they're just there to manage the process. They put strategies together. Asset managers are thinking about the next 3 to 5 years. When are we going to sell it? You know, when are we should reposition? Like, okay, we need to be putting money in the reserves. Like, they're thinking long term because they're thinking as far as they want to make more money for the owner. Management companies, they don't really think about that. They want to make more money for the management companies, because management companies, they take 3 to 4% off. If you can negotiate really well, you can do 2.5%, but that's very rare. So it's about 3%, 3 to 4%. And then the brands, you have to pay the different franchise fees.
Let's be real, man. Like you said, asset managers are looking out for your best interests. Even whether it's a multifamily apartments, you got to look at what their goals are. That's one of the big things. That's why you want everybody's goals to align. And when you get with some third-party management,
you got to say it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we get third-party management, you got to watch what they're doing, because then they start throwing these back of the office fees or whatever you want to call, and they hide them. They be like, "Oh, we talked about that. That was in your pro forma, or that was." Yeah, no. Like, dude, like when I go through my contract, I see accounting, and I saw this for you. Next thing you know, you got a chief engineer, and then you got group sales, you got this sales. Like, and if you're running a smaller hotel, like an 85 key, it cannot sustain something like that because it's taking away too much revenue. Now, and here's the thing. If a hotel is performing and you ain't never got to go over there and they're passing all their QAs, quality assurance tests, you know, all those things, you're like, you know what, I don't care. Charge what you want. You bringing money to my bottom line. Our investors happy. But if they're not even hitting that, they got to go. And don't be afraid to say you're gone. And those are what you have in your performance clause. So wherever you get a performance clause in there, especially because a lot of times people...
in the management agreement.
Yeah, because a lot of people... Yeah, the management agreement, there we go. A lot of people, they're so focused on acquiring a hotel, they're not thinking about all the behind the scenes, what happens day to day. They're like, I own a hotel. But you got the operations, and these people come in, literally they're snakes.
They'll take advantage. They take a lot of times. They take advantage of first-time hotel owners.
Yeah,
they take advantage of first-time hotel owners a lot. I keep laughing at me. Talk loud. It's like the Philly voice coming out. You know what I mean?
It's like a bad album deal.
Yeah.
Right? A record label deal. Like dealing with them. And but not just the hotels, it can happen in apartments as well. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You get an asset manager. If you're new, I would definitely get an asset manager or a consultant that will, not a lawyer.
Unless they're a hotel lawyer.
But even then, you want somebody that's in the business that understands that.
Because they'll understand the business terms.
So they can point out like, no, this performance clause, QA, debt ratio coverage, because at some point,
you're talking about the management agreement.
Yeah, in your management agreement. Yeah, well, in the management agreement, the value, not the value, but let's say cash flow drops, right? And that's not untypical. Like December, January, February in most cities, unless you're Florida or destination area, cash flow drops down. So then, basically, you're making a 1-1 on your debt, meaning you're only making a little 10%. You're below your debt coverage ratio. And so with that, you're not performing. Well, you want to make sure they're hitting those numbers. Like, that's just one. And you want to make sure that those are in your management agreements, that they're hitting these quotas. Because what happens is like, oh, they'll come up with, oh, it's just this, or it's that. And finally, you'll be like, well, I just want to work with them. And then you might be afraid to get out of your agreement or to move on. Don't be afraid. Kick the door down, hold them accountable, and put them out.
I want to add to that. So in order to put them out, to Mike's point, you need a really strong management agreement, because if you don't have the right people on your team reviewing the management agreement, it could be more so on the management company side that's protected more than the owner. So they could be doing a horrible job. Basically, they could just be doing the bare minimum, but they're doing what they say they were going to do in the management agreement. So, and a lot of times with management companies, if your hotel can support it, because not all hotels can support a third-party management company. Typically, management companies, they look at hotels that's generating at least about $1.5 or $2 million in revenue. So if your hotel can't support a management company, then, you would have to become an owner-operator. But if your hotel can support it, then you do need to bring someone like an asset manager that can review the business terms, to make sure the performance clause, to make sure the QA, to make sure you're protected as an owner. So that way, because an asset manager can say, look at the contract and say, wait a minute, you're basically doing the bare minimum. So either increase it or no, right? And then the lawyer can look at it from a legal standpoint to make sure that if you do need to get out of the contract, that as an owner you won't be penalizing, where you're able to walk away.
Go ahead.
I know you guys are speaking on partnerships. When you're looking for partners to invest with, what are you investing with you guys? What should you look for as red flags, and what should you look for as you've seen that has been?
I made a drink on that.
Okay, you made a drink.
I may need a drink on that.
Oh yeah, you.
Dealing with investors.
So what do you look for in an investor, or what should an investor?
So you look,
partners.
I
may need a drink on that one.
Now, like, somebody come to you guys and say, hey, I got a great hotel, I'm looking as an investment platform. There's a lot of things out there that may not be you guys. What should you look for if I'm not able to get in contact with you?
Do partners and then do investors.
So you gotta repeat the question.
Okay, so basically, what do you look for a partner? What do you look for an investor, or what should you look for? And so what I look for in a partner is kind of three things, right? One, who has time, right? And then these kind of merge in together. Then who has money? Then who has knowledge? Those are three essential things. Because if you got two people with time but no knowledge, no money, you're not getting anywhere, right? But if you get with somebody that has a little bit of knowledge and somebody has a little money, all right, and somebody has time, now you're moving somewhere, right? Yeah. You're pushing the objective forward. And I think those are the key things in a partnership that really adds value, because when you don't have that, if somebody's not bringing money to the table, somebody's not bringing some expertise, somebody doesn't have the time, then I'm just saying you're giving away equity. All right? That's just wasted equity.
You don't want to waste that.
Now, but if somebody in the background is still putting things together, there's value there. All right? Now, in an investor, again, it goes back, it still falls under the same category. Are we aligned? Our expectations are the same. Whenever I get an investor, I don't care how they come in. Whether it's online, I met them in person, I'm asking them what their goal is. What's a typical return for them, right? How long do you want to be in a deal? And why haven't you done something like this before? Like, these are the essential questions you ask. One, because when you ask an investor what their goal is, it's all about the investor. It's not about you. See, once you realize you're there to provide a service, that's when your business and your vision will grow exponentially, all right? It's all about providing a service and what you can do for other people. Because what your real goal is to provide a transformation for these people. You're providing a promise that you can help transform them economically. And it starts with that one deal. So that's number one. And that's what, and I also look for like what the returns they received before, because I want to manage expectations, right? Like if they're saying, well, I expect to make 20% annually, I was like, well, you need to be an active investor and manage it yourself, because I can't do that.
Right.
I can do that for myself, but as a passive investor, you got to manage their expectations. Like, look, I can help get you some tax deductions. I can help generate a 6 to 10% cash on class. If we hold it longer, it'll grow, but I know I can hit those numbers for you.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. So those are the things that we look for, being able to manage expectations. And if they can't and they want too much of our time, I'll say no. Like I've turned down millions of dollars.
Yeah, so have I.
And I needed that money. Needed that money. All right. What you got? Who's next?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so we talked about once we're looking for the location, let's dial back. Who do I need to look for? I'm at the front desk.
Okay.
I don't even know who to collaborate with.
Damn.
Yeah, right there. About right there.
So,
And what does the team consist of?
so I,
Repeat
two
the
questions.
question.
So the question is, well, I'm gonna paraphrase it, summarize it pretty much. So where to look for hotels, and then your team. So we have a hotel broker right here. We have Nick's song. So that's a lot of times people. I don't know why they're afraid of brokers or real estate agents, but in the hotel space, it's a good thing to have, and it's a good thing to have a broker who specializes in hotels, because guess what? That's what they do. They find hotels.
Right.
Because you'll get a lot of people, and I get a lot of people who try to wholesale a hotel to me, and I don't do wholesale deals, and they don't know what they're doing. Hotel brokers, they specialize in hotels. They understand the operations of it. They understand how to standardize. They understand the financials. They got the team players. And then the biggest thing is, to answer your question on who on your team, you want to work with people that's actually closed. Because you'll meet more so probably with lenders. They'll say, oh, yeah, I can do hotels. I can close on them. Because in their mind, the points, their fees, they're going to be able to make a lot of money. But if you never close on a hotel, and they never closed on a hotel, the blind leading the blind. And I've seen a lot of deals like that. So another place, you can go to websites like Crexy, you can go to LoopNet. So because there's not an MLS for hotels. 10X is more of an auction site. So you can go on to those different websites, because it's not an MLS like it is for houses. And that's pretty much for anything dealing with commercial real estate. It's not really an MLS. It's really, LoopNet is probably the closest. LoopNet and Crexy. Probably the closest thing. Yeah, the closest thing that you can find as far as finding deals. Once you start building relationships with the brokers, then they'll start sending you deals. So I would say you want to be prepared when you talk to the brokers. So meaning know where you want to buy, your budget. You want to know, the type of brands and the type of hotels, because they're going to ask you for the hotels. I'm sure Nick's side, because you want brokers to call you back when they have a deal. Because a lot of times people, they call brokers and they just be talking about nothing. And they wonder why the broker won't call them back. And it's because that you don't know what you're looking for, so the broker can't help you. And the broker that's how they eat. They eat by closing. And so if they feel that you aren't confident enough, and the biggest thing is you have to have money, right? So a lot of times people, they want to buy a hotel like this, but they can't afford it. So if your budget is not a Campton hotel and your budget is a Holiday Inn Express or a Candlewood, those are the properties that you need to be looking at. Because you typically need about 20 to 30% down on the hotel. Your team members.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. Oh, that looks pretty. The team members that you'll definitely need a lender. So you can work with a broker. They have brokers in the hotel space to actually help you find money. So working with the broker, working with a hotel broker. So a broker to help you find money, and then a hotel broker to help you find the deals. If you haven't closed on a hotel before, either joining an education program or getting a coach or getting a consultant, because you're going to need somebody to help you walk through it. Having a lawyer who specializes in hotels, someone who can handle the franchise agreement, and if you do get a management company, somebody that's going to be able to manage it. So those are probably, did I miss out anybody?
No, I think you hit it all. If you had a consultant that really knows that,
they got all
coaching,
them people for you.
Oh, so
you got everybody.
Start with a consultant. They can help you find the inspector.
Larry back here.
Larry, someone like Larry can help you from the franchise side. So, but again, when you work with a consultant, then we already got, because everybody want to close, right? And so we gonna typically with consultants, they work with people who they worked with before. That's what they're gonna recommend. Like, they know that they going to the closing table. They know they not on BS. Like, they're not gonna recommend somebody. Well, hopefully they won't recommend anybody, that makes them look bad. Because the hotel world is very small. It is extremely small. And the black hotel world is even smaller. And so, it's a lot of recommendations and it's just a lot of referrals because, again, people just want to get to the closing line. I don't know if you want to.
No, I think you hit it all. Those are all great things.
I had another question.
Yeah.
Okay, so earlier we were talking about the asset manager. How do you know? What are telltale signs you have a really good asset manager or the asset manager need to be replaced?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I mean, the asset manager, for me, it was a little different. Like, I had to say Devon was very essential in putting that together.
Yeah.
Like, she knew a lot more people than I did at the time. And I was more organic, I would say, in that process. Like, I'll wait till I find the right one. And seriously, we went through quite a few management companies until we found the right one. Like, we found that guy Tommy.
Oh yeah, Tommy's in there.
And I just worked out perfect. Like, we get along perfectly through the good and the bad, and with his experience, and everything was timing. And then even with this management company we found, that actually came from somebody.
Tommy, yeah.
Well, no, actually, that came from what's his name? The other brother.
Oh, Elliot.
Elliot.
Yeah.
So Elliot kind of recommended, because I was like, who you work with? And he told me.
See what I was
And then
saying
we
about
kept
the
talking
recommendation.
back and forth. And then Tommy actually left his job. He was like, man, this would be perfect time if we work together. And then because I went through so many things that worked to our benefit, I knew what to look for. So that's the good thing. Like, yeah, I kind of put the negative, but it's kind of reverse engineering. Because now that we've been through all of that, we already know what to expect. We know how to build off the foundation. We can share with other people what you clearly need from day one. And the rest is easy. Because if you got bad management, now I'm going to get them out in 30, 60 days or less. There won't be a problem. We'll switch out and get a new team in quickly. You won't be fighting in arguments or agreements or anything like that. So, I'm grateful that I went through that process. Again, I don't really like learning lessons.
What are the three things? How do you know you had bad management? What are the three things that happened?
Okay.
And you can use this for the asset manager as well. So and not even just the asset manager, anybody on your team. The biggest thing is check references. Remember how some people like, who your people? The same thing.
I think I said asset manager specifically because they have the owners back.
They have
So
the
how
owners.
do you know they
So
have your back?
the biggest thing
Or
is
not?
the biggest thing is references, and then ask them for case studies.
Yeah.
Ask them for case, because a lot of times what happened, people who were general managers before, they never worked on the hotel ownership side, and so they decided to become an asset manager. That's great because they're great from an operational standpoint, but from an owner, being in operations and being owners are two different things.
So they come having a mindset of
The mind is exactly, and so when you're doing your research, references, history, and then you have people like us to ask, because you wouldn't know.
right.
And a lot of times with people, when you're building your team, they're in sales, they're in business development, so they're going to give you the world, and you don't know. So the top three things that I would look for would be references, asking for, because it's not like you can Google to see if it's good or bad. Like, you kind of can't do that. So, because it's not really there, but it's just more so references, case studies, and just that's probably the two biggest things.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say,
What do you have as a third one?
I'm gonna say I want to see books of properties you managed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Show me the book, and let's be more in detail. When we say references, whose properties have you managed? And I want to talk to them. And then I want
talk to the owners.
And I want to see their books. And if they don't want to do that, they don't have that relationship, I don't want to deal with it. All right? Like, forget it. I don't care. Like, we don't want to waste time. And then, as you said, have you owned a hotel or have you just managed? Because this is a big difference. Because it's crazy. These management companies like, hey, the GOP, the gross operating profit of this property is at 42%. I'm like, yeah, bro, but that ain't the bottom line. Like, what my cash flow look like?
Yeah.
Like, you care about that because the reason they focus on the GOP, when they start looking at taxes, insurance, reserves,
That's how they get their bonus.
that's kind of out of their control. So they deduct that, and you'll see it on your performer, but that only is really referencing the owner and the debt. But they don't care about that. They're like, see, because they can compare apples to other hotels. But I'm like, look, man, if this doesn't match up, with a good return for my investors after the debt, I don't care what you're making on the GOP. If you're making 50% on the GOP, which is really, really good, but I'm only getting 2%, I don't want that, right? I want to make a great return for my investors every year, every month.
So I'm going to be more specific.
Okay.
What are 3 nightmare experiences that you've had that you're willing to share?
Okay, yeah, that's easy.
He got a drink too. Look, he like,
Yeah, details.
So, with management, one of the first things I learned was the sales is very important. The DOS, Director of Sales or Sales Rep. That's very important. That person is responsible for bringing heads and beds. Now, whether it's a small, when I say small, 85 key and smaller, most hotels like that really can't support a DOS unless it's bringing in revenue over like 3.5 million, right? If it's like 2.8 and low, they really can't support. It can, but it's taken away from your bottom line. So that's number one. And so I found a guy in Scottsburg, Indiana, in my little hotel that was crushing it. And I was like, well, this hotel in El Reno is it's a better location. And they did not want to use my strategies. They didn't want to use what my guy in Scottsburg was doing at the El Reno. And it's what I like to call parking lot pimping. Parking lot pimping, literally driving, old school, you drive in the parking lots and you taking business. You giving them offers. And these people were like, well, our hotel is 20, 30 minutes away. I was like, dude, he's 30 minutes away from Louisville and taking business from Louisville. Why don't you think you can take that same kind of business? And so I had to go around management to make these guys communicate. As soon as we did that, I went from like 65, 70% occupancy to 85 to 95% occupancy. Just by changing strategies. Wow. Then construction. First of all, contractors talk a whole nother language. All right, so I don't care whether it's hotels, apartments, whatever, they talk a whole nother language. And so when you're dealing with contractors, you want to make sure you got your insurance. We had one that climbed up and they had to remodel part of the roofing area. They tied in, to anchor themselves to the roof. Well, they clipped something onto the sprinkler line, slipped off, busted the sprinkler line. Now understand, that thing is pushing out, 600 gallons per minute, whatever. And it flooded my whole wing. I was basically done with the hotel on the renovations. And it flooded my whole side of the hotel. Wow. And then the insurance didn't pay. Yeah.
So speak on vendor relationships. How do you feel about, as a hotel owner, first-time hotel owner, understanding vendors and how they play a role in your success? That's a good question.
Understanding
you want to talk about that one?
Okay,
fetch. We're going to pack that.
I got a story too. Yeah.
So that was 2. All right. And then damage property, and they didn't have their insurance, because they were hired, and the whole thing was the management company was responsible for, whoever the contractors were, regardless who referred them, they were responsible for taking care of that, making sure they got their insurance, make sure they're, a contractor and they have all the documents. They didn't do it. And not only that, they delayed my whole project. They said, see, that's what I'm saying. I trust you, but let me see the paperwork, right? They told me, hey, we got all the permits done. And I had an interior permit and an exterior permit. These guys said, okay, we got the permits. I get the crew. They set up. They ready to go. I got an interior crew, exterior crew. And he says, Mike, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem? I only got an interior permit. I said, well, call such and such to get the exterior permit. They don't have it. I was like, what do you mean you don't have it? Then I called. Then it was during COVID. It took 6 months before I got my exterior permit, which pushed the project back even further, all through management. So my point is, you have to check and double check.
Because at that point, it's going to be the blame game.
Yeah, don't like, regardless if they said, like, they said they were project managers. They ain't project managing nothing. All right? You have to have your people, you have to double check and be on top of it. Like, that was one of the main reasons we got with this management. Oh, we do this, we do that. We provide this service, we provide this service. Yeah.
Because it ended up costing you at the end of the day.
It cost me
Remember
at the
what
end
I
of
was
the day.
saying about the business, the business development part of it, when management companies or different type of people trying to get your business, they'll say whatever and say that they can do it, and when it comes to it, so I got a story, a nightmare story. This is the third one. So, working with the management company, and the financials were absolutely wrong. Like, the financials were completely wrong. So now you can't even trust their financials. So you got to double check each numbers. You got to double check, because that's what you're relying on, all right? So you have to get what the general ledgers. You got to.
And again, this is not just, this is business in general. Like, I experienced this with a hotel. But my point is, whether you got a multifamily and you bring third-party management, or you got a business and you bring third-party management, these are the things that you need to double check and be a part of. You need to look at your books every day.
Yeah.
You need to see their performance and check in weekly, regardless. Now, don't get caught up in all these daily meetings, because they'll try to get you lost in there, right? They'll do something that's just something to throw you off. But the key is checking in weekly, looking over financials, ask for cash transaction financials, because in the business they like to do accrual. So if you don't know what accrual is, basically it's a big expense, and then they write it off over the 12-month period. So for example, they may have did a big vendor contract that was $24,000. So instead of seeing that transaction happen in that 1 month, they'll spread it out over 12 months to make the performer look good. All right? And that's general accounting, so that's nothing nobody's trying to hide. Like, that's real accounting, but I like to know my real numbers. Oh, the food here?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the vendor, did we get your third? I think we hit 3.
Give me a bonus.
A bonus. Ooh, a bonus. So one thing about management companies, it's usually sometimes when money's missing, is usually like the general manager, right? And so I don't want to say the general manager. That's not fair. But it's usually somebody in the hotel. I wouldn't say it's the general manager. It's usually somebody in the hotel, because I don't want to do that. That's not nice. But somebody was telling me how they were looking to buy a hotel, and the owners were leaving because it was a lot of theft in the hotel. The owners were leaving anyway to move to Florida, but they were asking me what to do because it's a lot of theft. Clear out the hotel. Just fire everybody. I mean, because nobody's gonna really say I'm the thief.
Right.
So a lot of times, so you do have to watch the financials, and you have to double check, because for that reason, and it's a business and not just in hotels. So if you don't monitor, and it may not even be somebody within the hotel, it could be somebody in the management company. That could be taking money, especially if you're not watching your property, because there's a lot of absentee owners. I know if you may go to different hotels and look dilapidated, and you like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. Like, you can literally see the bed bugs. You're not supposed to see them, but if you can see them, that's bad. And a lot of times it's because the owners are absentee and they don't really care. And so when someone knows that they're not coming to check in, what they gonna do?
The least amount possible.
You know what I mean? So that's something that you just have to think about as far as the back. Usually the fourth one I would say theft. What you think? Theft?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Like,
Yeah.
'cause, like, in any business, there's a third party. That's why I said you got to check the math, match up invoices. Like I said, that's just not just those business. Every once in a while, you got to audit the books, and they'll have credit cards that don't know about, and the GM, who's most likely going to be responsible, he's racking up bills. Oh, I did this because we took people out for sales. Like, you don't deal with sales at all, bro. Stop.
Watch it with the expense.
Like, it happens. That's just part of business.
You just have to
I mean,
watch it.
people embezzle. That's how it happens.
So if you stay in contact and if you do those weekly check-ins and if or if you have, so a lot of times with management companies, they don't like asset managers.
I bet they don't.
Because asset managers are on them. If the owner can't make the weekly calls, the asset manager's on it. So it'll be the weekly call with the general manager, the weekly call with the director of sales, the weekly call with the revenue manager. They want to see they are literally holding the management company accountable. So it's like, well, dang, I can't get anything past this person. I mean, I've seen some asset managers, you be like, dang it, you was $1,000 over budget. You know what I mean? Why is that? They be questioning every line item. So if you have somebody's like that, or you have an owner that's particular like that, it's people are they know what to expect. The vendor question.
Thank you.
How do you take care as far as relationships with the vendors? A lot of times you can do proposals, RFPs to figure out which, a lot of times let me go back. When you work with the brands, they usually give you a list of vendors to work with, because with brands, you have to work with approved vendors, right? So what we're sitting on right now, it was approved by IHG. Like, somebody probably just didn't go into Home Goods or something like that, or West Elm to buy furniture. Like, it has to be approved because it has to be a brand standard, and it has to be sturdy enough to last for a while. So typically you want to put out proposals, you want to get, the best price. A lot of times people have a procurement person that finds the best price for their particular, and as far as building relationships, because you have to be with these people for a while, paying your bills on time, that helps. But again, the biggest thing is you're gonna have to work with whatever the brand gives you. So they'll give you a list of linen you can use, light bulbs, chairs, all of these different things, glasses, all of these different things that we don't think, but from an owner and a franchisee standpoint, it's something that has to get approved, and they give you a list. It's not like, in the larger, like this hotel, the vendors will come to them. They don't really have to go to the vendors. Or you can go to different trade shows and they have all the different vendors there, and then you could talk to them and see what kind of price that they can give you based off, especially like Marriott, Hilton, IHG, and Hyatt. They're very particular with their vendors. They're even very particular with their management companies. Like, you have to work with an approved Hilton or Marriott or Hyatt management company, depending on the brand with IHG. And the reason why, because if they see if that management company or if that vendor, they're not doing the right thing, they getting off the list. They're like, oh no, you gotta go. You messing up. It's all about the brand. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more question, and then we're gonna go inside for a minute.
I want the food to get cold.
Oh, there's food.
For example, every time that company changes hands, is the brand wanting to do like a whole renovation change? Like, how often?
So your question is basically, whenever someone sells an existing asset, which let's say an IHG, is there a new renovation or any? So that's what we call the change of ownership, PIP, property improvement program. And so, first of all, every brand, basically every 7 years, they have what they call a hard and soft PIP. Soft is more like changing the pillows, curtains. Hard is everything's changing over, right? So yes, whenever there's a new change of ownership, there is a PIP required. Some may be small, some large. Even if a PIP was just done, they come up with something. Like, we just finished one in Hampton, Scottsburg, where we were going to sell it, and the brand came and still wanted them to do about $100,000 in work. So it may be small, maybe not, but yes, there's always going to be some type of change of ownership PIP, no matter what brand you with. All right. Okay, we're gonna go in and eat.
And then we can still ask more questions inside.
Yeah. All right.
So did you want to say bye? You gonna say bye to the camera?
I don't know. We're gonna say bye here, or we go. All right.
How you gonna close this out?
All right, just in case.